he does think Elon is crazy.
Yeah, no, he was on about, you know how many drugs he takes. You know, he takes drugs all the time.
So Donald Trump is apparently bragging right now that he planted the Elon Musk drug abuse story in the New York Times.
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they?
And this is according to legendary Trump biographer Michael Wolff, who went on the Daily Beast podcast today to talk about it. And we're just going to jump right into the meat of it here. I genuinely think this interview might be the best example of why Donald Trump is unfit for office.
Right.
It's necessary to remind, I think, everybody that Elon just recently was a whipped dog. Trump had cast him out, and Elon seemed to have been groveling back. Elon seemed to be saying, yeah, I get it. This is Trump and you can't go against it.
Right, and he regretted the emails that he sent. He deleted the one about Epstein, which was the triggering email to the White House. But as you've said, and I'm going to edit, he's back.
No, and I think he's back in a really threatening way.
Oh my goodness, do tell.
I think Elon is pissed. I think it's a blood score now. I think on the part of both of them. I know I was tracking some Trump phone calls on Monday night. And, and Trump, whoever he calls, he says the same thing to everybody. So you know exactly what is on his mind. And the people he calls, they play their part. They agree with him because you don't even have to, you just listen and go, but then they call because it's always so mind-boggling. I have gotten the Donald Trump calls, and it is incredibly weird because this is the president of the United States who you cannot get off the phone.
Right.
So
right.
It's kind of like you feel I'm holding up the whole world. Because I just can't get rid of him.
Or you might be saving the whole world because he could be having a much more powerful conversation with someone else that triggers something.
So this is
on Monday. We're recording this on Wednesday morning.
Right. And he's like calling people and say, do you think Elon is crazy? I think he's crazy. I mean, all of these phones, he asks a question and then you respond, yes, of course. I think he's crazy. You agree with me. And then, so he asks the question, he answers the question, and then infers that you have agreed with him on this question, or even that it's your thesis. So you think he's crazy.
But his point underlying all this is that for this week in particular, he does think Elon is crazy.
Yeah, no, and he actually went in one of these phone calls, or many of them. He was on about you know how many drugs he takes. You know he takes drugs all the time. You know that, don't you? The New York Times wrote about it. They said he takes drugs, and then he went on to say actually. We dropped a dime to the New York Times on Elon for on Elon's drug taking.
Back to the conversation in a second, but what? Donald Trump wants us to believe that he leaked the story about Elon? Remember when he said this?
Were you aware of Elon Musk's regular drug use?
No, I wasn't. I think he's fantastic. I think Elon is a fantastic guy. And
troubled by these reports?
I'm not troubled by anything with Elon. I think he's fantastic. Did a great job.
Like, obviously the dude is lying. It's just about what?
He says that to people? So they were the source of the story in the New York Times about Elon's...
Well, we have no idea. He is just claiming credit for that now.
Right, because he senses... Right, he wants to be behind that particular narrative.
Well, he wants to be behind everything, and that's a helpful narrative to him.
Right.
And it kind of then he went on to say we investigated him. So this is that. So he will now use everything to paint Elon into as the bad guy. I mean, he's deporting Elon.
Well, he's saying he might deport Elon, right? But Elon is also addressing it. I mean, Elon sounded pretty defensive on X when he said, "I'm not taking ketamine. I once took it. I'm not taking drugs."
Well, I think that New York Times story, for instance, was pretty devastating. I mean, it basically said that he was high all the time and effectively dysfunctional because of it. I mean,
Right, and disassociating.
yeah, I mean, this is the most successful businessman of the era is dysfunctional. That's a dysfunction maybe we should all embrace. But
Okay, so clearly the feud is back on, and maybe Trump is trying to save face. Maybe he genuinely believes it, but maybe there's an inkling of truth to it too. Because back in the day, June 5th, which was a month ago, but it feels like forever, Brian Tyler Cohen posted that Steve Bannon said he was advising Trump to launch an investigation into Elon's drug use and to arrest and deport him from the country immediately when this all first came out. And clearly, now we've seen Trump talking about deporting Elon now that he has come out against the big beautiful bill, which unfortunately just fucking passed. I can't believe that.
I mean, he is saying, I'm going to start a third party. And the media response seems to be, well, it's very hard to start a third party. That's not the point. The point is that in both the House and the Senate, Trump's majorities are incredibly precarious. So, $300 million here, $300 million there, certainly can make a difference.
So it's a majority of 3 in both the Senate and the Congress, I think. And this is because Elon doesn't believe in the big, beautiful bill. He thinks it will add to the massive deficit that America is already dealing with, and it completely undermines what he was doing in Doge, which was to cut government spending.
Yeah, and let's remember, in the contrast, and there are many contrasts between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk is fundamentally a manager, a great manager. I mean, possibly a genius manager. And so what we have in this big, beautiful bill is non-management, anti-management. We can just do whatever we want. Pay no mind to what this is going to cost. And, from the Trump point of view, this is really let's pass this bill to show that I can pass this bill.
Right.
So,
right.
And it hasn't really even mattered to Trump that the bill has changed significantly, both for better or worse, depending upon who you are. But it's for Trump, this is going to pass. It's going to pass because I have to have it pass because that is the proof of my dominance.
But what's interesting about the Elon of it all is that Elon is truly an interesting match for Donald Trump. And amazingly, I mean, again, you couldn't make this up. Christopher Nolan couldn't come up with this. They both have their own social media platforms. And though you're always saying Truth Social media platform of one, nevertheless, it allows him to amplify his message, Donald Trump, obviously, and then Elon, ketamine fueled or not. There's some debate about that.
And X, I got to say, has kind of become a platform of one.
True, but we're all paying attention to both of them.
Yeah, no, I think we do, but they are, I mean, social media platforms, as we once conceived them, were the voices of multitudes, and now very clearly. Certainly Truth Social, because literally it is a ghost town except for Donald Trump.
Right.
But then also X, or formerly Twitter, which Elon owns lock, stock, and barrel and dictates completely. Its message is the message that he...
So this is insane. I mean, while Trump may be lying, he may also be telling the truth at the same time, because I don't think it's him that decided to do this or decided to leak this story. But if someone in his administration did, they were playing four-dimensional chess. They knew that Elon would become a liability. They knew those egos couldn't butt together. But either way, and I'm so curious to hear your thoughts here, like what are you guys thinking of this? But where I'll end it is, it just feels like this is the most insane timeline, I guess, that we find ourselves in, where the two most powerful men on the planet with their own social media companies are feuding like teenage girls. The girls are fighting again. And the repercussions are that we don't have Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, jobs, economic mobility, economic safety. And thanks to 70 million some odd people, these two fucking bozos get to drive our country off a cliff. But yeah, you let me know who you think wins the blood score feud, because that's what really matters here, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. I can't believe we're living in this shit show, but together, maybe we can fight back and get out of it. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I'll see you guys in the next one.